Hi, this is Mr. Evans with a video on sampling. So, covered this section now of the specification. These calculations are in the first video, so you should, in the marketing unit, so you should have a look at video 3.31, which tells you how to calculate these calculations. We're now moving on to the value of sampling. Okay, so sampling means conducting market research on a group of customers that you have chosen to be representative of the entire market. It would be impossible in most cases. Some businesses might be able to, but generally it will be very difficult for a business to conduct market research into all of their customers. So therefore, a business needs to pick a selection of customers that represent the target market, and this is what sampling is. There are different methods of sampling, so where you conduct market research and you only do it on a smaller number of consumers that you believe to be representative of the market. You could conduct a random sample, where you just ask maybe every third customer or every fifth customer or every 10th customer that comes into the store their opinions, regardless of their characteristics, their age, gender, income, etc. So you just decide that you're going to sample 100 people, every 10th customer or whatever it is, you're going to ask them to fill in a survey, and that would be a random sample. The stratified sample, on the other hand, is a slightly more complex way of doing things. So this is where the proportion of those sampled is representative of the market as a whole. So if you know that the market comprises of 24% of your customers are aged between 15 and 21, then you would want 24% of those that you sample to be between 15 and 21. So if you've got the customer profiles on the database, you may decide that you're going to conduct 200 surveys, and you send those surveys out, and you would send 48 out, 24% of 200, to customers aged between 15 and 21. And therefore, the results that you get back should be more representative of the target market than perhaps a random sample. Random sample, you may end up just by chance surveying. People may not be from a broad spectrum of your consumers. Different methods of sampling. What are the benefits of doing it? Well, it's far more cost and time effective to pick a small group of customers to conduct market research with than a large one. You could use it in the collection of both qualitative and quantitative data. So your focus group, you may try to make that as representative of your target customers as possible, even if it's only 5 customers. Maybe you've got 2 customers who are elderly, and the other 2, out of 5, you might have 2 customers who are, or 2 people in that focus group who are elderly, and the 3 others are a young person, somebody in their 20s and somebody in their 40s, because that's representative of your business. Or you could do it on a much larger scale and collect quantitative data by sending out surveys. And sampling allows for generalised conclusions to be drawn relatively quickly and relatively accurately, depending, of course, on the quality of the sample. So what are the difficulties of doing it? Well, picking a sample that's truly representative of the whole market or your customers, first of all, you've got to have an accurate idea of exactly who your customers are. So you may have an idea that most of your customers work in offices near you or something like that, but you may not have full information about exactly who's buying off you, and therefore the sample chosen may not represent those customers who actually buy the product. there could be difficulty sampling certain groups of consumers. So you may well have working mothers as a big part of your target market, but it's difficult. Working mothers are extremely busy. It may be far easier to get a student, a university student or a pensioner to fill in a survey because they tend to have more time and tend to be more receptive to doing things like that. A busy working mother may find it difficult to find time to complete your market research. So there are benefits of sampling, there are weaknesses. Effective sampling depends on the size of the sample. Generally, the bigger the sample you pick, the better, but obviously the more people you pick to sample, the more difficult that research can be to analyse. The budget that you have available, so the bigger the budget, the more research generally you'll be able to conduct. And the skill of the market research team, so is this experienced market research team, know what they're doing, or maybe they're more inexperienced, or if it's a small business, maybe it's the owner of the business conducting the market research and they may not have a huge level of skill. You need to have a good understanding of your business's customer profile, i.e. a company like Amazon, which, because it's mail order, will tend to have a lot of information about its consumers. They tend to know how old they are, where they live geographically, etc. Whereas a business where it's just people walking into the shop and walking back out, there's far less data there collected on the customers, and therefore it's more difficult to understand the customer profile. Finally, the time between the sample being taken and the information being used. So how old is the data that we're using to try and draw these conclusions? The more recent the data has been collected, the more accurate it's likely to be. Okay, so a short video there on the value of sampling.